Hello, happy Wednesday. How are you? How are you feeling after that really powerful super full moon in Aquarius? It was pretty intense, and for many of us we're feeling quite tired. We are feeling quite wired to the mains, but we're also feeling deeply frazzled. We're in a place where we feel like we've let go of so much stuff, yet there might still be more to release. We feel like we are really journeying with Venus into the underworld. There is so much emotion coming up at the moment. There is so much anger to be dispelled. There's so much really deep shadow work that we need to be doing. There is a really huge amount of, it's almost like scraping the bottom of the barrel of our emotions, of our shadow work for some of us, and it's like the really difficult stuff we're trying to chip away. You know, if we've got paint and you're trying to scrape it off, it really feels like we're doing that at the moment, and we're really digging deep into the next layer that's underneath that we know that we need to be tackling. When I was really tuning into not only the energy but also what I was going to say today, what needed to be said, I was going to do this video in my office. But the real strong emotion was, no, you need to get out, you need to be near water, we need to be using water at the moment to cleanse ourselves, to allow our emotions to flow, to wash away and to really unstick what is stuck, what is holding us back, what is still hanging around. So I've come down to the bottom of the garden in this beautiful British summer day. We're really lucky, we've got a stream that just runs through, if you can hear a lot of water running. So I'm just kind of sat here just using the energy of the water to flow everything through. In fact, I'll just give you a little shot. That's where I'm sat. And a place really deeply soothing. It's a place that I come to, and I know I'm so lucky to live here. I come to when I feel deeply ungrounded, where I feel deeply unsettled, when something big is about to happen in my life. So a lot of life decisions are made around this area and this garden bench that I'm sat on, because it's a place where I can deeply connect into myself, I can deeply connect into nature, I can connect into the water, I can connect into all the other elements, the other elementals that are around in the garden as well. But the key message really was to be in a place where you can be soothed at the moment, where you can wash away a lot of the stuff that is going on for us all at the moment. So this full moon has brought up a ton of emotions for so many people, and those emotions can be incredibly wide ranging, and for some of us that full moon has just come around and just kind of hit us without realizing. But we are still in this Venus retrograde, and I'm going to keep banging on about Venus retrograde because it's affecting so many people, and it's just really starting to have the effect. So we're a week and a half in, and we have already been asked to shed so many layers. We have been asked to take off the labels that define us. And when we talk about labels, just think of the labels that really come up for you now. And if you sat with that question, who am I? What are the labels that come up? And are any of these labels you need to remove, you need to shed, because they're not truly who you are at source self. It's not who you are as a soul. They're a label given to you by society to place you into a box, so that you are now labelled in that area. You're in the box and you can't step out of the box because that's your label. So really feel into those labels that we give ourselves, or that other people give us, and do these actually sit right with you? Do they sit right with you in your heart? Are they churning up deep emotions? Are you saying, well, actually this doesn't define who I am anymore? Is it saying to you, oh, well, I like this label because then that means someone can identify me as this, and then I'm part of a group, and that's cool. But actually, is your soul saying, actually, I don't want to be that label. I want to be me. I want to be my soul-led self. And as we're journeying, as we're going deeper and deeper into the underworld, these labels are stripped away. They're taken away from us, whether we choose them to be taken away or whether they're just going to be taken away because they're not who you are at your soul-led self. And of going deeper and going deeper, we start to find that places, people, emotions no longer serve who we are. And this is where it becomes really, really tricky, because it starts to involve not only our own shadow work, but we watch others around us in the collective going through their shadow work. Their shadow work may be affecting us on a deep personal level. You may find that relationships, be it romantic relationships, friendships, business relationships, are quite turbulent. They're quite starting to really change. You may find, as I'm seeing in some places with people that I know that I maybe work with, that you're beginning to see their true self, and that true self might not be aligned with who you are becoming. And that becomes really painful, and it becomes awful, because sometimes we need to walk away from those relationships. Sometimes we need to shift and change our boundaries, put firmer boundaries in. And then on the other hand, there's that beautiful light side of it all. It's not all shadow. That we see someone for their true self, and we go, wow, I totally misjudged you. Your energy is amazing, and I want to be part of your friendship circle. I want to do business with you. I want to go for a drink with you. Who knows? But we're starting to really align. We're starting to call in our soul families. We're starting to call in the people who are deeply energetically aligned with ourselves, and we are shedding people and places and things along the way. And whenever we go through this period of change, this period of upheaval, because the full moon was all about change, and that change is just exacerbated by Venus and her retrograde asking us to, or actually forcing us to strip away and forcing us to be in a state of change. Change is deeply, deeply unsettling. Think about all the big life changes that you've had in your life. Think about the small changes. They can really rock the boat. They can really put us into a space of deep turmoil, a place of deep uncertainty, a place where we have to completely change our routines, change what we think, change how we feel. Before we come to a place of acceptance of the change, we need to go through those emotions. And that's what it feels like a lot of us are going through at the moment. We're going through a lot of deep-seated change emotions. And because many of us are aspiring and are living at the 5th dimensional frequency, that doesn't mean that there isn't stuff in the 3D that's still going to bring up emotions. We're still physical beings. We're still living in this physical life. So there is stuff that is going to come through, and that stuff, I'm not going to lie to you, it can be really deeply unpleasant. It can be painful. And letting go of things, of places, of people is painful. And I'm not going to put a plaster over it, Band-Aid, I think you call it in America. You're not going to put a plaster on it, because this deep healing work needs to be done. And I am a big believer in things, people and places are here in our lives for a reason, a season, a lifetime. They're here to teach us lessons. They're here to allow our soul to grow. And that can be really tricky, particularly when those relationships start to end, they start to disintegrate. You start to realise that that's not there for your highest good. Or, for example, a job that you love deeply and desperately suddenly isn't aligned for you anymore. It's no longer filling you with joy. And I'm really speaking from my heart here, because this is what I'm going through at the moment. Places, things I adore doing no longer align with who I am. So I'm going through the anger, I'm going through the grief, I'm going through what is going on. But this is all part of our soul's evolution. And it just so happens we're in August, the sun is not shining, it's threatening rain, so it's really like prophetic fallacy. It's kind of reflecting our internal state, because many of us are feeling quite down. Many of us are not seeing the sunshine at the end of this retrograde because it feels so dark and so intense. But we can get through this. And it seems simple to say, we can get through this, when you're in that state of deep emotion, state of grief, state of anger. But we're all experiencing this differently. We're all experiencing this for a reason. And when change comes about, We're always asking for that change for our highest good, to put us back on our soul-led, heart-led, goal print timeline, whatever you want to call it, your highest soul's potential. And these changes can be deeply unsettling, and the more we work on ourselves, the more these changes can really come out of the blue and shock us. And that's when we need to be kind with ourselves. It's when we need to dive into that sacred self-care that I spoke about last week. It's when we need to be soothed. It's when our nervous system is so frazzled that we too need to go and sit by the water. We need to connect to the elements. We need to go out and ground. And one thing that's really important during periods of changing is grounding. And the one thing I've really missed this week is being able to be outside and to ground each morning. The reason behind that being is I've got a soft tissue injury on my foot, so I can barely walk. So my regular routine change has come along to throw me out of that path. And it's asking me now to do something differently. So that's my change. So what is my change? Well, I can hobble down to the bottom of the garden and sit on the bench. I can't do my regular dog walk. That change is like, oh, I don't like this. But there are ways and means around the change to return back to self, to return to be grounded. So in all this turbulence, how are we going to remain still and steady? First thing first is to express that emotion, to let it go. To really feel all the feels, all the yuckiness, all the deep-seated anger, the fear, the terror, the tears, you just want to pick up a cup and throw it at something hard, or get a jam jar, put it in a plastic bag, give it a wallop if you're feeling really angry. Always works for me. But what you're trying to do is dispel all this emotion, energy in motion, so you can find that place of stillness once again. So let it all out, journal it out. Go and smash your jam jar. Scream, punch a pillow. Go and talk to someone that you really trust, who you can express all your true emotion to. And then we need to be still. And that's hard. It's hard when your brain is doing 100 miles an hour, 110 miles an hour, because there's so much to do and so much to go on, but this is part of the change. This is part of everything that we're going through. It's part of our journey into the underworld, that resistance to being still, because being still is uncomfortable. Listening to our heart is uncomfortable because we don't always want to know what it's going to say to us. So when I'm in this period of turbulence, and I'd encourage you to do it as well, it's just placing your hand on your heart and taking a couple of deep breaths to really connect into your heart's energy. And then just breathing and letting that energy build. And then letting your heart speak to you. It could be an energy, it could be a feeling, it could be a word, it could be something popping into your head. We all have different skills of how we connect in. But it's just allowing that truth to flow. And it may be that your heart just wants to send you healing and to soothe yourself. But this soothing of the nervous system, the soothing of our energetic bodies is so important at this time. Because not only are we going through Venus retrograde, we've gone through this powerful full moon, we're also heading into Lionsgate. And although I'm not specialising in Lionsgate, you can really feel these energies starting to shift and change. The light codes coming in. For me, I see heart codes coming in, unlocking your next potential. So we just need to be in a place where we are fully rested, where we are restored, where we are refreshed to go on with our journey. So as we're journeying with Venus this week, taking today, if you can, for a space to just recalibrate, to notice what's going on, to feel the feels, to allow all the emotion, the energy to come up, to dispel that, to go sit by water, have a bath, have a shower. A great thing to do to shift your energy is to have a shower and just wash it all off. Imagine it going down the plug hole. But it's about returning back to self. It's about being in a place where you can receive the higher energies, receive the higher frequencies, receive what you need to know to move forward on your path. But it is a deeply tumultuous time for so many of us, whether we're on this ascension pathway or not, whether we're just a normal person thinking, oh, I'm not quite sure what's going on with the energy at the moment. So we all need some deep peace, we need some deep rest. We need to be outside, we need to ground into nature. But most of all, we need to be connected back into ourselves. We need to be aware of what's going on around us, and knowing that many people are struggling at the moment. We're not on our own doing this, because it'll feel after this powerful full moon that we're really, here's the wind, here's the wind coming. It feels like we're on our own. We're really trying to push away. We're trying to wash away everything, and it feels hard, particularly if we know we've released things, we've released people, we've released places. So just take a few minutes today to really deeply breathe into your heart, to connect with water if you can. To notice it's not just you going through huge amounts of tumultuous change, lots of us are going through it as well. And the best thing you can do is to drop into your heart, to connect to light-hearted people, to talk about it if you need to just be with self again if you need to. We're all having individual experiences, we've all got a different path to walk, so my experience isn't somebody else's. My ways of resolving personal crises, of grounding, might not be yours, but the principle remains the same. The sooner we can move the emotion through our body, the sooner we can drop into our heart space and be still and listen. The easier life becomes, the clearer our direction becomes. The more settled we feel through periods of great change, because we can always guarantee there'll be another period of change coming at some point. So, I'm just sending you huge amounts of love for whatever you're navigating at the moment. Really be with yourself, truly look after yourself, because if you're not going to look after yourself, you can't guarantee somebody else is going to look after you. So, sending you huge amounts of love. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you have a moment to like, comment and subscribe, as YouTube like you to, that would be awesome. And until next week, I wish you so much love. I hope that it gets a little easier for you, and when you're ready to shed those layers, just know you've got this, you can do this, and it's happening for your highest good. So much love. Take care.